Kids Educational Games.
Welcome to the e-learning for Kids Language Arts program for age 12. The purpose of this learning game is to correct punctuation and grammar in stories. You will see places where you need to add quotes, change a comma to a period, or even change entire words that are wrong. Good luck! Welcome to the newsroom. We've got quite a few people at work today. Can you lend a hand?
People.
I'm so busy today. I just can't get this article edited by myself. See if you can help me edit it. It's about a famous actress.
Julia's Favorite Things by Nancy Knight, California. Julia Robertson is a very talented actress. It has appeared in many movies, but she also enjoys music and reading.
Mistake.
She has appeared in many movies, but she also enjoys music and reading. In fact, her favorite book is called War and Peace. War and Peace was written by Leo Tolstoy, a Russian author.
Mistake. Mistake.
Julia explains, "It is a very long book, but it is very interesting."
Mistake. Mistake.
Julia also enjoys short stories. She said that she had to read many short stories for school when she was younger, and that her favorite was called The Old Man and Crow.
Mistake.
She said that it has special meaning for her, because the man in the story reminds she of her grandfather.
Mistake.
She said that it has special meaning for her, because the man in the story reminds her of her grandfather. Julia is also an enthusiastic poetry reader. She is a huge fan of Emily Dickinson and William Shakespeare.
Mistake.
Her favorite sonnet by William Shakespeare is called, "Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day?" Clearly Julia reads very much in her spare time. She says that reading inspired her to be an actress. "I just love the way the characters jump out from the pages of books."
Mistake.
If a story is really well written, it seems like I am living in the same time and place as the characters. It is the same feeling I get when I act in movies.
Mistake.
Thanks. You found all of the mistakes.
Headlines.
Thanks for helping. We need to get this edition out first thing.
Boy rescued by family dog. By Fred Barnes, Wisconsin. It was Friday evening, at 8 o'clock, and the Harris family was sitting down to dinner, when they all noticed something strange.
Mistake.
O'clock. Their youngest son, Scott, had not yet returned home. "Well, obviously, we were very concerned," said Mrs. Harris, the mother of the boy.
Mistake.
She is nearly always on time for supper.
Mistake.
He.
Mistake.
He is nearly always on time for supper. Mr. Harris was equally concerned.
Mistake.
That afternoon he had grounded Scott for being late to school one too many times. I didn't think it was too harsh a punishment, Mr. Harris recalled. I only hope he hasn't run away.
Mistake.
Mr. Harris looked extremely upset. It was only 2 hours later when Jane, Scott's sister, noticed something else strange. "Where's Lucky?"
Mistake.
Jane was referring to the Harris family dog, a floppy-eared golden retriever, who got into trouble almost as much as Scott, according to family accounts. Lucky was indeed nowhere to be seen, and Jane was very impressed with herself for noticing this before either of her parents or the police.
Mistake.
The Harris family chose to send out a search party at 9 o'clock.
Mistake.
It was about 2 hours into the search when Jane heard a familiar sound, Lucky's bark. She had almost given up hope, but Jane knew Lucky was very smart.
Mistake.
Knew. She dashed over to her parents and the police, pointing them in the direction she heard the bark.
Mistake.
They all ran at full speed behind Jane, who was faster than all of them. That was when they found Lucky, standing right next to a well that none of them had ever seen before. Then, they heard Scott shouting from inside the well. Mr. and Mrs. Harris yelled at the police, "Get him out! Get him out!"
Mistake.
Then, in the next instant, Jane noticed that Lucky had grabbed something in his mouth, his leash. Lucky had brought his own leash.
Mistake.
Well, finally, the police figured it out. Lucky wanted them to use his leash to lower down to Scott. The main officer gratefully grabbed the leash from Lucky, and lowered it down to Scott, that grasped it from inside the well.
Mistake.
Who? When Scott finally surfaced, the joy was incredible. Scott gave Lucky a huge hug, and the whole family walking back home, ready to finally eat their supper and feed Lucky, directly from the table.
Mistake.
Walked.
Thanks. You found all of the mistakes.
Food and entertainment.
I have been working all day. I'm glad you're here to help me. Please help me try to edit this story I just wrote.
Bear Paw Land, First Class Fun. By Susan Wright, Florida. Amusement parks are some of the greatest places to visit in this country. One of the best is called Bear Paw Land.
Mistake.
There are so many activities that there is hardly any time to enjoy every one of them. You can go on the rides, which can be very fun. When kids go to Bear Paw Land, the roller coasters are often the first destination.
Mistake.
They can also make some people very, very dizzy. There are trains to ride, rocket ships to fly, and jungle adventures that lead you through dangerous, crocodile-infested waters.
Mistake. Mistake.
Of course, after you go on the rides, there is plenty of time to eat.
Mistake.
The food at the park is delicious, but not the healthiest. There is candy at every corner.
Mistake.
You have to be careful not to eat too much. Some of the most delicious candies are called sour zingers, which are so sweet and sour that they make your face squish into a very unusual position.
Mistake.
The hot chocolate served at the Pirate Cafe is also some of the best in the entire world.
Mistake.
The concerts and parades are also first class. The most enchanting parade happens at night, when fireworks of every color explode into a million tiny lights in the sky.
Mistake.
The parade features various creatures, such as frogs, leopards, and polar bears.
Mistake. Mistake.
They all seem to get along, which is very strange, because normally these animals are not the best of friends. It is all part of the magic of Bear Paw Land.
Mistake.
Thanks. You found all of the mistakes.
Sports.
I'm so glad you're here to help. Do you like sports? I need some help with this sports story if you can lend me a hand.
The Biggest Rivalry. By Lucy Lane, Arizona. The big baseball game on Sunday between the Raptors and the Lions started out very slowly.
Mistake. Mistake.
There had been no runs in the first 7 innings. Michael, the pitcher for the Raptors, had been pitching a nearly perfect game, and not one of the players for the Lions could hit a thing. 3 strikes, and they were out every time. The Raptors and Lions had a huge rivalry, even before this game. When the teams had played against each other just 3 weeks before, Michael had thrown a pitch directly at their star player, Jordan.
Mistake.
Jordan hurt his arm so badly that he hadn't been able to play baseball since. Now the Lions were even angrier that Michael was pitching so perfectly in the game today. It didn't seem fair.
Mistake.
Finally, It was the bottom of the ninth inning, and the Lions had a last chance. Michael stood on the pitcher's mound, grasping the baseball behind his back, ready to throw.
Mistake.
Linda, one of the best players for the Lions, stood at home plate, ready to swing. Michael threw the ball with all his might and struck Linda out once, twice, and then the third time. Next, Jim stepped up to the plate, shaking. He was so afraid.
Mistake.
Michael threw 3 quick pitches right over the plate, striking Jim out too. Finally, Jordan walked over to home plate, the last hitter for the Lions in the ninth inning.
Mistake.
He still had a bandage wrapped around his arm from where Michael had hit him the last time they played together. Michael threw the baseball, missing Jordan by an inch.
Mistake.
Strike! Shouted the umpire, and everyone was shocked.
Mistake.
Surely that was not a strike. Michael pitched again, and this time it was perfect, right over the plate, but Jordan missed it. He swung with all his might, but he just couldn't touch it.
Mistake.
Michael was feeling pretty good, and he had just one more pitch to go. This time he threw the ball harder than he had the whole game. Like the last pitch, it was right over home plate. This time, though, Jordan was ready. He swung at the ball so that it hit the middle of his bat perfectly. It went sailing over Michael's head, over the backfield, and over the little league fence. It was a home run, and the Lions won the game, 1-0.
Mistake.
Thanks. You found all of the mistakes. Phew! We made it. Thanks for helping out the editors in the newsroom. We were able to publish all of the stories in time for the morning edition.